Captain Elena Voss stood at the large window of her ship, staring out at the endless stars. Her hands were pressed against the cold metal wall as she watched her crew prepare for what might be their last mission together. The thought made her stomach twist with anger. "Captain, the transport ship is ready for you," said Lieutenant Torres, her voice careful and quiet. Everyone on the ship knew what was happening. Everyone knew their captain was being sent away for something she never wanted. Elena turned around slowly. Her dark hair was pulled back in the same tight style she had worn for years. Her uniform was perfect, every button in place, every line straight. But her eyes showed the storm building inside her. "Tell me again why I have to do this," Elena said, her voice sharp as a blade. Torres looked uncomfortable. "The Alliance, Captain. Earth needs the Zephyrians to stop the war. The High Council wants a marriage between our species to prove we are serious about peace." Elena laughed, but there was no humor in it. "So they pick me. Not because I want it. Not because I agree with it. But because I am young and unmarried and they think I will follow orders." "Captain, the ambassador is waiting for you in the transport bay," Torres said quietly. Elena nodded once, sharp and quick. She picked up her small bag of belongings and walked toward the door. Then she stopped and looked back at her crew. "Take care of my ship," she said. "I will be back." The transport bay was cold and filled with the noise of engines warming up. Ambassador Chen waited near the shuttle, his face serious but kind. He had been a friend to Elena for many years, which made this betrayal feel even worse. "Elena," he said as she approached. "I know this is hard." "Hard?" Elena threw her bag into the shuttle with more force than needed. "Chen, you are sending me to marry an alien princess I have never met. You are taking me away from my ship, my crew, my life. Hard does not begin to describe this." Chen stepped closer, lowering his voice. "The Zephyrians have technology we need. Their crystal ships are faster than anything we have. Their weapons could end the border wars with the hegemony in weeks instead of years. But they will not share any of it unless we prove our commitment to them. And I am the proof," Elena said bitterly. "You are the bridge," Chen corrected. "You are young enough that this marriage could last for decades. You are respected enough that both species will see this as a real commitment. And you are strong enough to handle whatever comes next." Elena climbed into the shuttle without answering. As the engine started and they lifted away from her ship, she pressed her face to the window and watched her home become smaller and smaller until it was just another point of light among the stars. The journey to the diplomatic station took 3 days. Elena spent most of the time reading everything she could find about the Zephyrians. What she learned did not make her feel better about her future. The Zephyrians were made of living crystal. They lived for hundreds of years. They thought of emotions as weaknesses and marriage as nothing more than a business agreement. Their princess, Kira of House Stella Wind, was described as cold, intelligent, and completely dedicated to her duty to her people. "She sounds perfect for a political marriage," Elena said to herself as she read. "No feelings to get in the way." Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, Princess Kira stood in her private laboratory, staring at the data screens that filled the walls. The information about humans was limited, but what she could find fascinated her. Humans were carbon-based life forms who lived short lives but burned bright with emotion and creativity. They were young as a species but had already spread across many worlds. They were known for being unpredictable, passionate, and surprisingly tough when threatened. Kira's crystalline body caught the light from her screens and scattered it in rainbow patterns across the white walls. She was beautiful in the way all Zephyrians were beautiful, like a living piece of art made from precious stones. But unlike most of her people, Kira had always been curious about other species. Her mother, the Queen of House Stella Wind, had forbidden such interests. "Focus on your duties to our people," she had said many times. "Other species are beneath our concern." But Kira could not stop wondering about the universe beyond her crystalline cities. She had spent years secretly studying alien cultures, learning their languages, and dreaming of the day she might see other worlds. Now that day had come, but not in the way she had hoped. Princess, her aide, a younger Zephyrian named Dex, entered the laboratory. Your transport is prepared. The council expects you to depart within the hour. Kira nodded but did not look away from her screens. Dex, what do you think about humans? Dex made a sound like wind chimes, which was how Zephyrians showed surprise. I think they are strange, Princess. They make decisions based on feelings instead of logic. They live such short lives that they cannot plan properly for the future. Why do you ask? I am going to marry one, Kira said simply. Yes, Princess. For the Alliance. It is your duty to House Stellar Wind and to our people. Kira finally turned away from her screens. Her eyes were multifaceted like jewels, catching and reflecting light in ways that made it hard for other species to read her expressions. Do you think she will hate me? Kira asked quietly. Dex paused. Zephyrians did not usually talk about emotions, especially not fear or worry. I do not know, Princess. But it does not matter if she does. This marriage is about politics, not feelings. Kira nodded, but something inside her crystalline chest felt heavy. She had spent so many years dreaming of meeting other species, of learning about their cultures and making friends with them. Now she would meet a human, but that human would be forced to marry her and would probably see her as an enemy. The diplomatic station was enormous, built in space between human and Zephyrian territories. It was designed to be neutral ground where both species could meet safely. Elena arrived first, and she was not impressed. The station was cold and sterile, with long metal corridors and bright lights that made everything look harsh and unwelcoming. Human diplomats rushed around carrying data pads and looking stressed. Everyone seemed to be trying very hard to make sure nothing went wrong. Captain Voss, Ambassador Chen appeared beside her as she explored the station. The Zephyrian delegation will arrive in 2 hours. Are you ready? Elena looked down at herself. She wore her best uniform, the one reserved for formal ceremonies. Her medals caught the light, showing her years of service to Earth and the many battles she had won. I am as ready as someone can be for their own execution, she said. Chen frowned. Elena, please try to keep an open mind. This marriage could change everything for both our species. It will certainly change everything for me, Elena replied. 2 hours later, Elena stood in the main conference room of the station. The room was large and empty except for a long table and chairs. Windows on all sides showed the stars and the darkness of space. She felt very small and alone. Then the doors opened, and the Zephyrian delegation entered. Elena had seen pictures of Zephyrians, but seeing them in person was completely different. They moved like dancers, their crystalline bodies catching and bending light in beautiful patterns. They made soft musical sounds as they walked, their crystal skin chiming gently with each step. Princess Kira was the last to enter, and Elena's breath caught in her throat. The princess was taller than Elena had expected, and her crystalline body seemed to glow with its own inner light. Her hair was made of fine crystal strands that moved like water, catching every photon and throwing back rainbows. Her dress was not cloth but formed from her own crystal body, shaped into flowing patterns that changed as she moved. But it was Kira's eyes that held Elena's attention. They were deep blue like the ocean, with facets that sparkled like diamonds. And in those eyes, Elena saw something she had not expected to see. Curiosity. Princess Kira walked toward the center of the room, her gaze fixed on Elena. She had seen humans in pictures and videos, but none of that had prepared her for seeing one in person. The human captain was smaller than she had expected but radiated strength and confidence that was impressive. Her dark eyes were fierce and intelligent, and her stance showed she was ready for a fight even in this diplomatic setting. Kira took another step forward, and something strange happened. Her crystalline body began to vibrate, creating a low musical tone that filled the room. The sound grew stronger as she moved closer to Elena, becoming a harmony that seemed to come from deep inside her crystal core. Kira stopped walking. She tried to speak, to introduce herself as she had practiced, but no words came. The harmonic vibration grew stronger, and her body became rigid, frozen in place like a statue made of singing crystal. Elena stared in shock as the beautiful alien princess became completely motionless, her eyes wide and fixed on Elena's face. The music coming from Kira's body was unlike anything Elena had ever heard. It was hauntingly beautiful, sad and joyful at the same time. Princess Kira, one of the Zephyrian diplomats, rushed forward, alarm clear in his voice. "Princess, what is happening?" But Kira could not answer. She stood frozen, her crystal body singing its mysterious song, her jeweled eyes locked on the human captain who was supposed to become her unwanted bride. Elena took a step forward, and the music grew louder. Another step, and Kira's entire body began to glow brighter, the light pulsing in rhythm with the harmonic vibrations. "What did you do to her?" the Zephyrian diplomat demanded, turning on Elena with accusation in his voice. Elena raised her hands, showing she was not armed. "I did not do anything. I just stood here." But even as she said it, Elena knew something impossible was happening. Something that would change everything she thought she knew about this marriage, about the princess, and about herself. The frozen princess continued to sing her crystal song, and Elena found herself taking another step closer, drawn by something she could not understand or resist. The harmonic song from Princess Kira's crystalline body filled the conference room like nothing Elena had ever heard. It was beautiful and strange, making the air itself seem to vibrate with music. But the princess stood completely still, like a statue made of singing crystal, her blue eyes locked onto Elena's face. "Princess Kira, please respond," said the lead Zephyrian diplomat, his own crystal body flashing with worried colors. He turned to Elena with suspicion. "Human, what have you done to our princess?" Elena stepped back, raising her hands. "I swear I did nothing. I just walked into the room and she saw me, and then this started happening." Ambassador Chen moved between Elena and the angry Zephyrians. "Please, let us stay calm. We are all concerned about Princess Kira. Perhaps we should call for medical assistance from both our species." The Zephyrian diplomat, who had introduced himself as Minister Jade, nodded sharply. "Yes. Send for our healers immediately. And keep that human away from our princess." But as Elena moved farther from Kira, something unexpected happened. The harmonic song grew weaker and sadder, like a music box winding down. Kira's glowing crystal body began to dim, and her rigid posture started to waver. Elena stopped moving away. "Wait. Look at her when I step back." She took another step backward, and Kira's song became even quieter. The princess's eyes, which had been bright and focused, began to lose their sparkle. Elena frowned and took a step forward again. Immediately, Kira's harmonic song grew stronger and more beautiful. Her crystal body brightened, and her eyes seemed to snap back into focus, though she still could not move or speak. "The distance changes how she reacts," Elena said, amazement in her voice. "It's like I'm connected to her somehow." Minister Jade looked suspicious. "Impossible. Humans do not have the ability to affect Zephyrian crystal matrices." "Well, something is happening," Elena said firmly. "And if I move away, she seems to get worse. Maybe I should stay close until your healers arrive." Ambassador Chen was already on his communication device, calling for doctors from both species. Within minutes, the conference room was filled with medical personnel, scientific equipment, and worried officials from both delegations. Dr. Sarah Hayes, Earth's lead xenobiologist, arrived with a portable scanner and immediately began taking readings around both Elena and the frozen princess. She was a middle-aged woman with gray-streaked hair and intense green eyes that missed nothing. "Fascinating," Dr. Hayes murmured as she studied her scanner's display. "Captain Voss, your bioelectric field is showing unusual patterns. Princess Kira, your crystalline matrix is resonating at frequencies we've never recorded before. The Zephyrian healer, an ancient being called Elder Crystal, approached cautiously. His crystal body was clear like glass, showing his great age and wisdom. He held a device that looked like a glowing music box. The harmonic patterns are indeed unprecedented, Elder Crystal said, his voice like wind through crystal caves. Princess Kira's resonance matches the ancient texts about the harmony of souls. Dr. Hayes looked up sharply. The harmony of souls? What is that? Elder Crystal exchanged glances with Minister Jade, who gave a reluctant nod. It is written in our oldest histories, from before our people reached the stars. The texts speak of a time when Zephyrians would meet beings whose life essence perfectly complemented our crystal nature. The harmony was said to bring great power and understanding to both species. But those are just myths, Minister Jade protested. Stories from primitive times when our people believed in magic instead of science. Dr. Hayes continued scanning both Elena and Kira, her excitement growing. The reading suggests this might be more than myth. Captain, your neural activity is creating electromagnetic patterns that seem to synchronize with the princess's crystal frequency. It's like your brain and her crystal matrix are trying to form a connection. Elena stared at the frozen princess. Even unable to move, Kira was incredibly beautiful. Her crystal hair caught the light and threw rainbows across the walls. Her eyes, though fixed in place, seemed deep and intelligent. Can you help her? Elena asked. I don't want her to be trapped like this because of me. Elder Crystal approached slowly, studying his instruments. The resonance appears to be stabilizing her rather than harming her. But she needs time to adapt to this new connection. Perhaps if the captain remained nearby while we study this phenomenon further. Minister Jade looked unhappy. This was not part of our agreement. The marriage was supposed to be a simple political arrangement. Nothing about this situation is simple anymore, Ambassador Chen said quietly. Over the next several hours, Elena stayed close to Princess Kira while teams of scientists from both species worked to understand what was happening. Elena found herself talking to the silent princess, even though Kira could not respond. I know this is probably not how you wanted to meet me, Elena said softly, standing near enough that Kira's harmonic song remained strong and clear. I didn't want to be here either. They told me I had to marry you for the alliance, and I was angry about giving up my ship and my crew. Kira's eyes seemed to focus on Elena's face with great intensity, as if she was listening to every word. But you're not what I expected, Elena continued. I thought you would be cold and distant like they said all Zephyrians are. But your song is the most beautiful thing I've ever heard, and your eyes look like you understand things that I want to learn about. Dr. Hayes approached with new data. Captain, we're seeing some remarkable developments. Your bioelectric field and the princess's crystal matrix are beginning to synchronize more completely. We think this might allow for limited communication soon. As if responding to the doctor's words, Princess Kira's crystal body suddenly flickered, and for just a moment, she was able to move her head slightly. Elena, Kira said, her voice like music played on crystal bells. The single word took enormous effort, and she immediately became rigid again. Elena's heart jumped. She said my name. How does she know my name? Elder Crystal checked his instruments in amazement. The harmonic connection is allowing her to access information shared between your minds. This is beyond anything in our ancient texts. But the brief moment of movement had cost Kira greatly. Her crystal body dimmed, and her harmonic song became weaker. Elena instinctively moved closer, and immediately Kira's strength returned. I think she's trying to communicate with me, Elena said. Can we set up a way for me to stay close to her while you figure out how to stabilize this connection? Over the following days, Elena remained near Princess Kira in a special medical bay designed for both species. Elena slept in a chair beside Kira's crystal resting platform, and gradually the princess was able to have brief moments of movement and speech. During these precious moments, Elena learned that Kira was not the cold political princess she had expected. Kira was a scientist who had spent years secretly studying other species. She had dreamed of exploring the galaxy and meeting aliens, but her royal duties had kept her trapped in her crystal cities. "I always wondered what it would be like to meet a human," Kira managed to say during one of her brief periods of movement. "Your people are so different from us. You feel emotions so strongly, and you make decisions with your hearts instead of just logic." Elena smiled. "My people would probably say I make too many decisions with logic instead of my heart. That's why I became a military captain instead of staying home to have a family." "But you care deeply about your crew," Kira observed. "I can sense your emotions through our connection. You love them like family." Elena was surprised. "You can feel what I'm feeling." Kira's crystal body flickered with soft colors. "When our minds touch through the harmony, I can sense your thoughts and emotions. It is beautiful, Elena. Humans feel everything so intensely. It's like experiencing a galaxy full of stars where we only see single points of light." Meanwhile, Dr. Hayes and Elder Crystal worked together to understand the resonance phenomenon. Their research revealed that humans naturally produced bioelectric patterns that perfectly complemented Zephyrian crystal matrices, but only in very rare cases where both individuals possessed specific genetic markers. Captain Voss and Princess Kira may be the first successful human-Zephyrian harmonic pair in history, Dr. Hayes explained to the gathered diplomats. Their connection could be the foundation for entirely new forms of cooperation between our species. But not everyone was happy about this development. Some members of both delegations worried that this unexpected bond would complicate the carefully planned political marriage. Others saw opportunity in the unique connection. Elena spent more time talking with Kira during the princess's brief periods of mobility. She learned that Kira had invented several technologies that had advanced Zephyrian space travel, though she had never received credit because royal women were expected to focus on diplomatic duties rather than science. "I designed the crystal navigation arrays that make our ship so fast," Kira said quietly during one conversation. "But the council believes such work is beneath a princess. They want me to focus on marriage and producing heirs to continue our royal line." Elena felt a surge of anger. "That's ridiculous. You're clearly brilliant, and they're wasting your talents." "What about you?" Kira asked. "Did your people try to force you into traditional roles?" Elena laughed. "They tried, but I was too stubborn. I wanted to be in space, commanding ships and exploring new worlds. My family thought I was crazy for choosing military service over marriage and children. And now we are both being forced into marriage for political reasons," Kira observed. "Yes, but this feels different now," Elena said honestly. "At first, I was angry about being sent here. But talking with you, learning about who you really are, it doesn't feel like a punishment anymore." Kira's crystal face showed something that might have been surprise. "You do not see me as just a duty to endure." "No," Elena said firmly. "I see you as someone I want to know better. Someone whose mind works in fascinating ways. Someone whose dreams align with mine more than I ever expected." Their growing connection was interrupted when Minister Jade entered the medical bay with troubling news. "Princess Kira, there are reports of unrest in both our territories," he announced. "Some factions believe this harmonic bond is unnatural and dangerous. They want the marriage cancelled and both species to return to their separate territories." Elena felt Kira's distress through their connection, and the princess's harmonic song became discordant with worry. "There is more," Minister Jade continued reluctantly. "Admiral Stone of the Earth Fleet has declared that Captain Voss has been compromised by alien influence. He claims the harmonic connection is a form of mind control, and he is demanding her immediate return to Earth for medical evaluation." Elena's hands clenched into fists. Stone never wanted this alliance in the first place. He's been looking for an excuse to sabotage the peace talks. Dr. Hayes entered the medical bay with equally disturbing news. "Captain, we've intercepted communications suggesting that extremist groups from both species are planning to take action against this marriage. They believe the harmonic connection poses a threat to the genetic purity of both species. Elena looked at Princess Kira, who was struggling to maintain her brief moment of mobility despite her fear and worry. "What do we do?" Elena asked. Kira's crystal eyes met Elena's with determination. "We prove them wrong. We show both our peoples that this connection makes us stronger, not weaker." But even as she spoke, Kira's body began to stiffen again as the stress disrupted their harmonic bond. The beautiful song that had filled the medical bay became shaky and uncertain. Elena moved closer, taking Kira's crystalline hand carefully in her human one. The touch sent new harmonics through both their bodies, stabilizing the connection once more. "We'll face this together," Elena said softly. "Whatever comes next, we'll handle it as partners, not as unwilling political prisoners." Kira's hand squeezed Elena's gently, the crystal warm and smooth against human skin. Through their connection, Elena felt the princess's growing trust and affection, emotions that were new and precious to a species that prized logic above feeling. But outside the medical bay, forces were already moving to tear them apart before their bond could grow strong enough to change the future of both species. The attack came without warning during the early hours of the station's artificial night cycle. Elena woke to the sound of emergency alarms and the feeling of Princess Kira's distress flowing through their harmonic connection. "Elena," Kira managed to say, her crystal body rigid with fear. "Something is wrong. I can sense hostile minds approaching." Elena was already moving, grabbing her sidearm and activating the emergency communicator. "Chen, what's happening?" Ambassador Chen's voice crackled through the device. "Elena, we have multiple ships approaching from both directions. Admiral Stone is leading a human battle group, and there's an unknown Zephyrian fleet coming from the other side. They're not responding to our communications." Elena felt her heart sink. The extremists from both species had decided to act, and they were trapped in the middle. Dr. Hayes burst into the medical bay, her face pale with worry. "Captain, the approaching fleets are jamming all communications. We can't contact Earth or the Zephyrian homeworld for help." "How long until they arrive?" Elena asked, her military training taking over despite the impossible situation. "The human fleet will be here in 2 hours. The Zephyrian fleet in 3 hours," Dr. Hayes replied. Elena looked at Princess Kira, who was struggling to maintain consciousness as stress disrupted their harmonic bond. Even in her fear, Kira was trying to think of solutions. "Elena," Kira whispered, "our connection is stronger now than when we first met. Dr. Hayes said the harmonic field extends beyond just us. What if we could make it larger?" Dr. Hayes looked up from her instruments with sudden understanding. "The princess is right. Our readings show that your harmonic field has been growing stronger and reaching farther each day. If we could amplify it somehow, broadcast it to the approaching fleets." "What would that do?" Elena asked. Elder Crystal, who had been silent until now, spoke up with excitement in his ancient voice. According to the old texts, the harmony of souls was said to prevent conflict between those touched by its influence. If beings cannot feel hatred toward each other, they cannot make war. Elena felt a spark of hope. So if we could extend our harmonic field to reach both fleets, they might not be able to attack each other. "It is possible," Elder Crystal said. "But the energy required would be enormous. And we have no way to amplify the signal across such distances." Elena started pacing, her mind racing through possibilities. As she moved, she felt Kira's intelligence joining with hers through their connection, two different types of thinking working together on the same problem. "The station's communication array," Elena said suddenly. "It's designed to broadcast signals across multiple star systems. What if we used it to amplify our harmonic field instead of radio waves?" Dr. Hayes checked her scanner readings. "The frequencies are compatible, but the power requirements would be dangerous. The feedback could harm both of you. Or kill us," Kira added quietly, but her crystal body was beginning to glow with determination. "But if we do nothing, both our species will return to war." How many will die in the fighting that follows? Elena knelt beside Kira's crystal platform and took her hand. Through their connection, she felt the princess's courage and resolve, as well as her fear. Are you willing to risk this with me? Elena asked. Kira's faceted eyes met Elena's with steady confidence. I have spent my whole life dreaming of exploring the galaxy and meeting other species. If we can use our connection to bring peace between our peoples, then everything I dreamed of might become possible. Elena squeezed Kira's crystal hand gently. Then let's save both our species. The next hour was a race against time. Dr. Hayes and Elder Crystal worked together to modify the station's communication array while Elena and Kira prepared for the most dangerous thing either of them had ever attempted. The harmonic amplification will require both of you to open your minds completely to each other, Elder Crystal explained. Captain Voss, you will need to let Princess Kira's crystal matrix merge temporarily with your bioelectric field. Princess Kira, you will need to channel the full power of your harmonic resonance through the captain's human neural pathways. Elena felt nervous about the idea of completely merging minds with someone she had known for only a few days. But through their existing connection, she sensed that Kira was equally scared and equally determined. What will it feel like? Elena asked. Like becoming one person instead of two, Kira replied. We will share all thoughts, all memories, all emotions. There will be no secrets between us. Elena took a deep breath. I'm ready if you are. As they prepared for the harmonic amplification, reports came in about the approaching fleets. Admiral Stone's battle group consisted of 12 heavy cruisers and twice as many smaller ships, all armed for serious combat. The Zephyrian fleet was led by someone called General Obsidian, a military leader known for believing that humans were a threat to Zephyrian purity. Both fleets are taking aggressive formations, reported Lieutenant Torres, who had arrived on a supply ship just before the crisis began. They're not here to negotiate. Elena and Kira were moved to the station's central communication chamber, where the modified broadcast array hummed with dangerous energy. The room was filled with monitoring equipment and worried scientists from both species. Remember, Dr. Hayes said, the harmonic field will amplify your emotions as well as your connection. Try to focus on peace, understanding, and cooperation. Elena lay down on a specially designed platform next to Kira's crystal form. The princess's hand was already reaching for hers, crystal fingers warm with inner light. Elena, Kira said softly, before we do this, I want you to know something. When I first saw you, I was not frozen with fear or confusion. I was frozen with wonder. You were everything I had imagined humans might be, but more beautiful and complex than I had dared to hope. Elena felt her heart skip. Kira, I was angry about being forced into this marriage, but you changed everything. You're brilliant and kind and brave, and I can't imagine a better partner for facing the unknown. They joined hands as Dr. Hayes activated the harmonic amplifier. The sensation was unlike anything Elena had ever experienced. Her consciousness expanded beyond her own body and mind, flowing into Kira's crystal matrix like water finding its proper channel. At the same time, Kira's vast intelligence and cosmic perspective filled Elena's human awareness. For a moment, they were not two separate beings but one shared consciousness that was both human and Zephyrian, emotional and logical, passionate and wise. Through the station's communication array, their combined harmonic field began to broadcast across space, reaching toward the approaching fleets like an invisible wave of peace. Admiral Stone stood on the bridge of his flagship, studying the tactical display that showed the diplomatic station surrounded by his battle group. His plan was simple: destroy the station and claim that Zephyrian treachery had killed the human delegation, then use the incident to justify a full-scale war. Admiral, we're receiving some kind of signal from the station, his communications officer reported. It's not radio or laser communication. It's something else. Ignore it, Stone commanded. Prepare to fire on the station. But as the harmonic field reached his ship, something strange began to happen. Stone found himself thinking about the young captain who had been sent to marry the alien princess. Elena Voss had been a good officer, brave and intelligent. Did she really deserve to die for the sake of his political ambitions? Across the fleet, similar thoughts were occurring to thousands of human soldiers and officers. The harmonic field was making it impossible for them to feel the hatred and fear that war required. On the Zephyrian side, General Obsidian was experiencing the same phenomenon. His crystal body, which had been burning with righteous anger about human contamination of Zephyrian purity, began to resonate with peaceful harmonics that reminded him of the ancient songs about unity between different peoples. "General," his aide reported, "our weapons are showing system malfunctions. The harmonic interference is affecting our crystal-based technology." But Obsidian was staring at the image of the diplomatic station, thinking about the young princess who was trapped there. Kira had always been different from other royals, curious about other species and full of questions about the universe beyond their crystal cities. Perhaps her willingness to marry a human showed wisdom rather than weakness. Back on the station, Elena and Kira maintained their merged consciousness despite the tremendous strain. Through their shared awareness, they could sense the minds of thousands of beings across both fleets, feeling their confusion and growing understanding. "It's working," Elena thought through their connection. "They can't maintain their hostility while touched by our harmonic field. But we need to do more than just stop this battle," Kira replied through their merged thoughts. "We need to show them what cooperation between our species could accomplish." Together, they reached deeper into their combined abilities. Elena's human intuition and adaptability merged with Kira's vast scientific knowledge and cosmic perspective. Through the communication array, they began broadcasting not just peaceful emotions but shared visions of what the future could hold. Humans and Zephyrians working together to explore distant galaxies. Crystal ships powered by human creativity and emotion traveling faster and farther than ever before. Zephyrian technology guided by human compassion solving problems that had plagued both species for centuries. The harmonic field carrying these visions reached every ship in both fleets, and the effect was immediate and profound. Admiral Stone found himself remembering why he had joined the space service in the first place, to explore the unknown and protect humanity's future. How could humanity's future be protected by starting a war with a species that could teach them about technologies beyond their current understanding? General Obsidian felt his crystal matrix resonating with harmonies he had not experienced since he was young, before duty and prejudice had hardened his heart. The humans in those shared visions were not the crude savages he had been taught to fear, but potential partners in the great work of understanding the universe. One by one, weapon systems across both fleets powered down. Not because of mechanical failure, but because the beings operating them could no longer imagine using those weapons against the people they had been sent to fight. "Admiral Stone to diplomatic station," came a voice over the communication system. "This is Admiral Stone requesting permission to come aboard for peace negotiations." "General Obsidian to Princess Kira," came another voice. "I formally request an audience to discuss the future of our species' relationship." Elena and Kira slowly separated their merged consciousness, both of them exhausted but triumphant. The harmonic field they had created continued to flow between the ships, maintaining the peaceful atmosphere that had replaced the threat of war. "We did it," Elena whispered, her voice hoarse from the strain. "We showed them what we could be together," Kira replied, her crystal body dim but glowing with satisfaction. Dr. Hayes and Elder Crystal rushed to check their vital signs, both amazed that they had survived the dangerous procedure. "The harmonic field is self-sustaining now," Dr. Hayes reported. "It's spreading from ship to ship, carried by the natural resonance between human and Zephyrian technologies." Over the following days, representatives from both fleets came aboard the station for negotiations. But these were not the tense political discussions that had been planned originally. Instead, they were conversations between beings who could feel each other's hopes and dreams through the lingering effects of the harmonic field. Elena and Kira participated in the talks as equal partners, their unique connection serving as a bridge between species that had never truly understood each other before. "Captain Voss," Admiral Stone said during one session, "I owe you an apology. I let my fear of change blind me to the possibilities you and the princess have shown us." Elena nodded graciously. We all have something to learn, Admiral. The important thing is that we're learning it together now. General Obsidian approached Princess Kira with deep respect. Your Highness, your courage in forming this harmonic bond has opened possibilities that our scientists never imagined. House Stella Wind should be proud. Kira's crystal face showed the equivalent of a smile. Thank you, General. But this is not just about our royal houses or our military forces. This is about every individual in both our species working together to build something greater than either of us could achieve alone. As the negotiations continued, Elena and Kira spent their private moments getting to know each other without the pressure of their diplomatic responsibilities. Elena, Kira said one evening as they walked through the station's observation deck, when this crisis began, I was afraid that our marriage would be just another duty I had to perform for my people. Elena took Kira's crystal hand in her human one, feeling the warm glow that always accompanied their touch. And now? Now I cannot imagine wanting to spend my life with anyone else, Kira replied. You understand my dreams of exploration and discovery. You share my desire to push beyond the boundaries that have limited both our peoples. And your human emotions have shown me what it means to love someone not just with duty, but with your whole heart. Elena squeezed Kira's hand gently. I feel the same way. You're brilliant and brave and beautiful, and you see possibilities that I never would have thought of on my own. Marrying you isn't a sacrifice anymore. It's the beginning of the greatest adventure I've ever imagined. They were married 3 weeks later in a ceremony that combined human and Zephyrian traditions, broadcast across both species' territories through the harmonic network that had grown from their original connection. Elena wore her dress uniform decorated with crystal ornaments that Kira had crafted personally. Kira shaped her crystal body into flowing patterns that incorporated elements of human wedding fashion. When they joined hands during the ceremony, their harmonic field created music that was heard and felt by billions of beings across the galaxy. Do you, Elena Voss, take Princess Kira as your partner in all things, to explore the unknown together and build a future that honors both your peoples? Asked Ambassador Chen. I do, Elena said firmly. Do you, Princess Kira of House Stella Wind, take Captain Elena as your partner in all things, to discover new worlds together and create harmony between all species? Asked Elder Crystal. I do, Kira replied, her crystal voice ringing with joy. As they kissed to seal their union, Elena wearing protective gear to touch Kira's crystal lips safely, their harmonic field pulsed with pure happiness that resonated through every ship in the Allied fleets. The story of Elena and Kira became the foundation for a new era of cooperation between humans and Zephyrians. Their harmonic connection was studied and replicated, leading to the development of new technologies and new forms of communication between species. Elena kept her promise to return to her ship, but now she commanded a joint human-Zephyrian vessel crewed by beings from both species. Kira's scientific knowledge combined with Elena's leadership skills made them one of the most effective exploration teams in the galaxy. Together, they discovered new worlds, made contact with other species, and proved that the universe was vast enough for all beings to find their place among the stars. And whenever young beings from either species doubted that cooperation was possible, they would hear the story of the human captain and the crystal princess who chose love over duty and changed the future for everyone. Their harmonic connection became a symbol of what was possible when different peoples chose to understand rather than fear each other, and their marriage remained the foundation of peace between their species for generations to come.